So I'm going to do the monthly update today for the 90p aquarium. So last update, I wouldn't say much has really changed. It's mainly been in some of the plant growth that's really improved, especially like the Rotala atra in the back has really improved from last time. I did recently trim, so it actually doesn't look as good as it did right now than it did last week, so that kind of sucks. So I should have probably recorded it then, but it was getting overwhelmed, so I went ahead and trimmed it. But I'll show you guys kind of like what's different and if anything else I can think of that has changed since last month. I think a few more fish I've added since then, but yeah, I'll turn the camera and I'll show you guys what's been up. So so as you see, it's just got trimmed. It's still kind of a mess, but you can see like you can see how the tops are actually, kind of like a light pink, almost red, almost. The camera doesn't pick it up almost too well, but before I trimmed it, it was actually pretty red, almost like a blood red, almost matching these AR minis, and so it looked really good. So you can see it's coming back now. Usually it takes about, once it gets a little taller, that's when it really starts turning red. So I would expect in a couple more weeks it'd actually be back how it was, hopefully. And obviously, if you guys have been following along, you guys know we've been kind of fighting that problem, why they weren't turning red. And it was kind of weird because as I've been gone, from work and being away from this tank, what seems to change it is for some reason not doing maintenance, which means like, no, I wasn't here to do water changes, which what really sparked it. And then I kind of thought about it, and yeah, sometimes I get overwhelmed with my water changes. Like obviously I just drop a, you guys seen my videos where I drop a pump and I just, pump all the water out. That's how I do my water changes, fast and easy. And when I do it that way, except it's so fast and easy, I just usually don't think about it, and sometimes I end up draining a lot of water each time, and I do this twice a week. So what I'm thinking, what's been happening this whole time is I've been taking out so much nutrients in the water column that basically I'm just taking the food away from the plants, and that's why they haven't really been turning the color that they truly should be. And ever since I've changed it to just one water change, and that's what I'm going to go with now, and see if that pattern actually held true, and we'll just see if it stays the same. And it looks like so far it looks like it will. So we'll just see. I'll just see how these grow back, but really, I mean, I'm not obviously Atra is supposed to be, the whole stem's supposed to be red, not just the tips. But I'm fine with just the tips turning red. I mean, I'm totally fine with that. And it probably will stay like that just because there's not enough light to even get to. It's so bushy. This stuff is so bushy at this point that I doubt the whole stem ever turns red. But I'm kind of fine with just the tips turning red. It looks kind of nice like that with the mix of green and red. I do like it like that. And especially for the escape, I think it just works well. So I think I'm totally fine with that. And I hope it stays like that. But of course, as I trim more and more, the whole stem might eventually, convert to red. But we'll just see what happens. Obviously, this tank we don't have much time more because obviously once I take my picture for ADA contest, which starts in April, so I don't know when I'm going to actually send my final pictures in. Once I feel like I'm ready between April and I think the last month to submit is I think June, like right at June. So whenever I feel ready, I'll take the final photos, and then we'll think about rescaping this tank. And obviously, our plans, if you guys are following along, our plans is really just to change this to a classic Yagumi. So really, just get rid of a lot of the stems, and it'll mainly just be a Monte Carlo carpet, and maybe a few mid grounds, and potentially maybe some like Anubias or Bruce. I'm not sure. It all depends on the scape that I come up with, what's gonna look good. But I have a feeling mostly just like a carpet and maybe some mid grounds. But like really the plan for the new scape is almost the same. It just all depends on the actual stones I get. I'm buying like 500 pounds worth of Frodo eventually altogether. I think I have 300 coming, and then I'm gonna buy more if I need it for this tank. And I'm hoping I get some pretty nice ones out of that first order, and I can start coming up with something. But if I get some pretty big pieces and flat ones, I'm not against doing kind of what I've already done now, a similar scape, but obviously it's going to be way more detailed and more thought out than this one was. But if not, I'm totally fine with just having like almost like a corner scape to where there's a lot going on in this corner, then slowly just kind of slopes out to where this area over here is more opened. So we'll just see what happens. Obviously, there'll be plenty of videos on that when that time comes, tearing this tank down and all that. But I think this tank turned out pretty well. I mean, people like it, but I could have done way better, and I know I could have. So yeah, but I don't think I think this was still a success at the end of the day. Nothing wrong with it, but yeah, I mean, Just like the simple things like, like all this soil leaching out, like that's something I should have known. I should have filled out with floss or something to block it off. I should have known to do that, but I just didn't. I I did this tank so fast that or I was really just excited to escape this tank, and I just totally forgot everything, all the rules of escaping when I did this. So, but yeah, everything else like plant wise, obviously you see probably it's really grown in on this side. You can see I need to really start trimming it, which I'm not opposed of it kind of growing out like that, like coming in, because it kind of like almost wraps this rock. I kind of like that. But yeah, it's just kind of it's almost covering up a lot of the plants over here, so I might have to kind of go in and kind of trim that, but we'll see. But then, yeah, the pruitt over here, you can see it's starting to finally come up, so hopefully I can trim it in half again so it can shoot out some new stems. But I'll have to go through in next trimming, and really cut a lot of that out this time. Probably most of it, like the whole back corner, I'm gonna have to cut out. So really, there's not gonna be a lot of bakupa left. Probably just what's in front right here. But yeah, other than that, I think that's really the only update stuff that I got this month. Really, not much stuff different other than obviously we figured out kind of what was happening with the back stems. But other than that, I think that's about it for this month. So comment, like, subscribe if you guys have any other questions. I'll see you guys in the